what is this? TravelChinaGuide.com.
Shut up! I knew you were.
No. He's reading zodiac charts to me, and I don't know what to do with this information because I don't know what to make of. Now, what is the Chinese zodiac? What, there's different animals or something? There's the year, the hair of the dog?
Look, there are a lot of misconceptions about the Chinese zodiac. Chinese zodiac, everyone's like, oh, it's a whole year dedicated to, one animal, so it's like 12 animals, and it doesn't make any sense, and blah, blah, blah. But they don't understand that it's 12 animals and 5 elemental signs. So you have a combination of an elemental sign and an animal, and so you're getting, what's 12 times 5? 60?
60.
You're getting 60 different possibilities of zodiac signs, whereas the Western zodiac has only 12. So you actually have, tons of different personalities, according to the Chinese zodiac. And what also people don't realize is that, this is information that I was told. I did not verify it, but I take her word for it because she was born in Japan.
Wait a second. This is the Chinese zodiac, not the Japanese zodiac.
No, it's the Eastern zodiac.
Oh, God.
No, so there are minute differences in the other countries of the East. But my point is, a lot of people will base their marriages and their potential mates, off of the Eastern zodiac signs. You're not even listening to me.
I'm listening.
And so, in Japan, it is common practice to, actively search for people who are compatible with you. And their divorce rate is much lower. Now, whether you can attribute it to that, who knows? But the fact of the matter is, apparently a lot of their marriages seem to last because they're basing it off of compatibility of Eastern zodiac signs. And so traditionally, you're supposed to a large animal is supposed to match with a small animal, and then there are differences in compatibility. So, for example, you are a horse. That is a large animal. So you're supposed to be compatible with a smaller animal, like a rat or a pig. Not a nasty pig, but a pig.
They're not sponsoring us.
I am a dragon, so I should be compatible with a small animal.
A rat or a pig.
Yeah, I forget all the animals, but the thing is, so apparently Kyle is a goat or a sheep. I don't know if that's considered a large or a small animal, to be quite honest. But have you never looked into this at all?
No.
Just like on one of those stupid Chinese menus?
No, actually, hold on a second. There was 1 year in elementary school, we learned about all different cultures. Like, that's different years in the curriculum or something. And 1 year we did Chinese, and so someone brought in a little lo mein or, chow mein noodles, and we had Chinese food, and we learned about all the little animals and everything like that. Even there was, like, one Chinese girl in our class. Like, that was it. And she was born in, like, the Central Valley. So she wasn't even, like, from China. I don't even think her parents were from China. Like, she'd been here since the Gold Rush, so she's more American than the rest of us are. But, like, that was part of the curriculum, so we learned about this, and I just remembered little animals, but I didn't know there were personality traits.
And there are 5 different elements that go with it. So, I am a dragon, which is supposed to be the most actually flamboyant and outgoing and extroverted of the of the animals.
That is you.
And it is actually, apparently, birth rates go up in the years of the dragon because it is the only animal of the Chinese zodiac that is not real. It's not a real animal. It's an imaginary animal. So it's considered a lucky sign. And so it's lucky to be born in those years. So people actively try to conceive children so that they're born in the year of the dragon. But because I'm an earth dragon, which is the most docile of the dragons, I'm not a fire dragon, which is the most uproarious of the dragons. That's why I can tone down my sass, bitchiness, and extroversion, because I'm not really an extrovert. I am an introvert at heart.
Wait, it shows by years? Like, this is going to be a good year for you because of when you were born?
Yeah.
What?
So, but a common misconception is it has to go by the Eastern calendar. So some people born in the beginning of the next year, they assume that they are part of the, of that year's animal. But like you, for example, you were born in January, but you're technically still part of the 1990 animal family because Chinese New Year had not occurred on your birthday, by your birthday. So you are technically lumped in with 1990s.
It says that I'm sometimes too sophisticated, which I knew.
Oh, Jesus. Why are we recording as you're reading? You should read all of this and then start recording.
As I'm listening, and then I can't read. Because I'm listening, and I want to live go through this, because there's a lot of shit in here. Like, there's unlucky numbers.
No, there's tons of stuff.
Unlucky colors.
There's tons of stuff.
Unlucky directions. What am I going to do? Go through...
You can never turn left.
I'm just going to be driving and right. That'd be great on a one-way street where I have to turn left and do a drive. No, sorry, we can't go to that restaurant. We got to go to a different one. I just keep driving around the block in circles. Oh, best matches: tiger, sheep, and rabbit. Okay, yeah. So that works out.
Oh, so even a tiger is considered a small animal? I don't think.
The horse can sometimes be very stubborn, but they can take the tiger's advice and they can make a lovely pair.
Oh, okay.
Due to the lively character of the horse, it's hard for them to get along with irritable people, so they can build a harmonious relationship with the good-tempered sheep. For the horse, the rabbit is both a friend and a partner.
Right, so...
It has a really disconcerting face for you and me. It has...
No, that's what I know. I know that for a fact.
It says we're kind of like...
No, you and I are...
This is like the pain chart that they show in the hospital.
Right. You and I are compatible friends-wise because certain temperaments complement each other, and we can be around each other for that reason.
We're average.
But we could never, ever be in
it says
romantic
in every way, though, we're average. At least we're not enemy. Oh, there's like a heart and like a skull and crossbones. You're a good match or enemy. I could think of that with a few people. Okay, this one's great. The horses are... I can't believe I'm reading this. The horses are active and love exploring the world, so that adventurers and tour guides are the suitable jobs for them. Honestly, it was my first real job, and that would be my dream job, is to be a tour guide.
Of what?
Anything. I already drive up and down Sunset Boulevard, and I can point out every single point of interest. So that's basically like, yes. And they can always perform well in jobs like writers, businessmen, artists, where they can display their talents without any restrictions. Yeah. It says I can write and be businessman.
Can you?
The plural. The plural. I can be multiple businessmen.
Hey, if there's if there's grammatical mistakes, then you know it was written by a real Asian. So
the horses should care more about their health now. For the young horses, keep a regular and balanced diet and reject some night parties.
You're not young. Which
will be good ways to maintain health. I have to reject the night parties.
Shut up.
That's true. The older I get, the less I want to go out late. For the middle-aged horses, you middle-aged war, learn to escape.
But I'm not a horse.
Well, learn to escape from the heavy work. Make some time to exercise and rest properly. Oh, they are energetic, bouncy, and dynamic when they're young. However, the long-term, exciting but unhealthy lifestyle may bring some potential health risks. I don't know why I'm pointing at you. It's for me.
This is for you.
For example, the habit of staying up late can weaken the immune system, and the irregular diets may also cause gastrointestinal illnesses. That's pretty true.
Well, then
that's good advice for anybody. But
it's a good thing you're with someone who has to go to bed early now.
That's true. It helps. Okay, here's what's happening to me this next year.
Oh, God. No one gives a fuck.
You raised this topic, and now we're going to see it through to its completion.
Well, that means
It
I'm
says I need to have will and determination to see projects through, and then I can achieve extraordinary things. In the same way, I will never leave food on a plate. I will never let go of something. Actually, it's true. I never let go of anything. In 2022, people born in the year of the horse is predicted
Shut up.
to get along well with others, both in workplace and daily life, which helps them derive happiness. Through hard working, they intend to get appreciation from supervisors.
Through hard working.
Through hard working, they intend to get appreciation from supervisors and be rewarded with higher position or salary. Just try to keep a good mood and a clear mind when in difficulties. Their financial fortune is quite good, for there are several potential ways for them to accumulate wealth. Do not overdrink or work overtime too often so as to keep healthy. Yeah.
That means no Taco Tuesday for you tonight.
Do you want to talk to the people about what Taco Tuesday was like last week? Because I think that they would love to hear that.
You said we have to do this through to completion, so you
I'm
have to look
reading,
up
you
mine.
talk. I don't know. Because yours.
That's not fair.
I know everything about you. I need to know. No, I'm gonna look.
Actually, no, you don't.
That's true. I don't know what happened back in '76. Somewhere outside Biloxi.
It was Gulfport.
And it's already washed away. All the evidence is gone.
Exactly. Who do you think brought in Hurricane Katrina?
Oh, God. Oh, wait a second. There's a relationship section.
Oh, God.
On the 2022 prediction. But the luck for single males is poor, and they need to be more active to make a girlfriend. Is that like one of those like anime dolls or something? Like you make a girlfriend? Is it like a fleshlight? Like I have to attach it to a couch cushion? And devote themselves in study. Okay, someone's Asian mom wrote this. It tells everybody that they should focus on schoolwork, regardless of age. Elders may be bothered by skin diseases. Not me.
Put on sunscreen, bitch.
I don't use sunscreen.
Get skin cancer out here in OC.
Oh, okay. Famous horse people. Paul McCartney, who I hate. Angela Merkel, who I hate. Jackie Chan, who I'm fine with. Kobe Bryant, who I'm also fine with. Kristen Stewart, who I hate. And Greta Thunberg, who I hate. So everybody else that I hate is a horse. Okay, what are you? I still think you're a rat, just spiritually. But okay. Strength, determined. You're a dragon. Strength, determined, ambitious, independent, energetic, sincere, and enjoy great popularity among friends. It's all true. Weaknesses, easily give up, little willpower, and unwilling to admit mistakes. I don't see any of that with you.
If anything, I'm too ready to admit mistakes even when I haven't made one.
I know, you're the kind of person who someone else trips and you admit the mistake. Dragon women are typical feminists. Well, mostly because you push them. Dragon women are typical feminists. Ambitious, smart, caring, and hardworking, but tend to give up halfway.
Well,
So you better pick up the fucking pace. You're compatible with a rooster, a rat, and a monkey.
yeah. No, I told you a rat is my perfect
Bad matches: ox, sheep, and dog. Yeah. The dragon lack trust with these three zodiacs, and different characteristics of them may lead to disagreements over trifles. Love will gradually fade away in the increasing complaints. That's an ominous sentence. And a description of most marriages. How to Get Along with Dragons. Oh, I think that was a kid's movie. Anyway, okay, I'm bored with this. Oh, it says your best job is salesman, cashier, financier, pharmacist, electrician, priest, designer, politician, and soldier.
That's a wide variety.
Like, you could be a cashier, you could be a priest, you could be a designer. This is like the American Girl dolls or something. Like, you could be anything.
So, okay, I was actually told one time that with my personality type, and with my kind of temperament, one of my ideal jobs would be dictator.
Oh, 100%.
I could be an effective dictator because people wouldn't realize that they were being dictated, if you know what I mean.
No, you would be an excellent dictator. I support this completely for you.
Because I could get them to do what I wanted them to do without them realizing I was getting them to do what I wanted them to do. I've manipulated so many people in my life and they had no idea.
You're absolutely going to edit that part out.
But no, I won't. I'll admit that. I'm not even drinking and I'm saying this.
I'm just glad I was the one person you never manipulated.
Yeah, totally.
Judy Justice. So, Judge Judy in the past few years has taken a very radical turn compared with the previous 20 to 25. So, first, she in 2020, actually in 2016, she came out and said something about how, she said something that was not negative about Donald Trump. So, a lot of people thought that she supported him. She didn't, but it was basically saying something like, I can appreciate someone who says it like it is. They're both New Yorkers. It is what it is. And people got mad at her for that, but most of her audience probably voted for him anyway. Like, if you look at the average Judge Judy audience, like, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Then she comes out in 2020 and endorsed Bloomberg, of all people. Didn't just endorse for him. Gave him, I don't know, gave money, but gave him, like, 2 or 3 campaign events where she showed up on his behalf. They're both the same height, like 4'11". So you have these 2 little people on stage on boosters, and talking about how he's a great New Yorker and he's a great American and he would be a great president and all this stuff. Now he got like 2%, so that failed. Remember when he was supposed to be like the great white hope that was going to save us from Trump? Well, that didn't happen. Then she got rid of her signature hairstyle, which is, vaguely like Jewish mother to grandmother, that she's had for the past 183 years, and just decided to just tie her hair back. And it looks bad. Because for somebody who makes $100 million in her TV contract, more than anybody else in the history of television, ever, she could clearly afford to have her hair done. Doesn't want him, doesn't care, stop doing it.
Well, there comes a point where you just don't care anymore.
She is in her doesn't give a fuck era, because she even quit the show, and it was like a big thing, like, after 25 years, Judge Judy is retiring. And she moved to another, like, off a network to a streaming service, and revamped Judge Judy as Judy Justice. So it's her giving an opinion, but then her granddaughter is there to give, like, a concurrent opinion. I don't know, maybe give, like, a younger person's take on what's happening. So it's a very weird format. Like, it's not just her 2 people litigating a dispute and going through it. It's her granddaughter, other people. I don't know. It's like the Supreme Court at this point.
But I was under the impression that don't they have like a disclaimer, or like on her original show, didn't they have like a disclaimer? It was like things were edited out or something. Like it always had a disclaimer like the decision is real, like, but
the cases are final.
Right.
The people are real, the decision is real, the cases are final. Yes.
But there was some other caveat in there where it was like,
it's not a legal decision. It was something like it's an official arbitration.
Okay.
So you sign an agreement that your dispute with this other person falls within the limits of small claims, which I think is $5,000, or it's under $5,000. Used to be, maybe it's under $10,000 now, but if it's an under $5,000 dispute, it falls into the boundaries of small claims court. So like you go in, you file a motion yourself, all that stuff. You don't really need an attorney. But they set it up to where this is a binding arbitration agreement, so you can't go back and sue the person in actual court. So they would find cases that people would want to file in court, like, my dog got stung by a bee. And you go with that other person. And here's the thing. The reason why it was worked out legally is because regardless of what the award is for the amount, that it's determined that you owe the other person something like that, you both get paid $5,000 for appearing on the show. So you get the max that you could have gotten from small claims to appear on the show. So the amount that you're awarded doesn't matter, whether you win or lose, or whatever.
So, can we like have a fake fight and like, you know?
So many people did that.
I could sue you, and then we could go and be on
Yeah.
Judge Judy's new show.
You could be like, you know, you stole my Louboutin pumps, you bitch. I want them back. And I could be like, no, I didn't. And then there's going to be a picture of me, the surfaces, wearing them, where I tagged it, and you. And then we go on Judge Judy, and then we have, like, the more ridiculous the story, the better. So it's like you walking into the courtroom in, like, some, like, Steve Madden shoes, and the heel breaks. And then you're like, I miss my Louboutin pumps. And then I walk in, and I'm like, I didn't wear these shoes. These are old maiden.
And then I showed the scuff marks on the red soles. Like, look what he did. Look what he did. He walked up and down
Santa Monica Boulevard. And he wore trenches in Santa Monica Boulevard in those shoes.
And so now there's like, you know, vodka stains on them and
then I could be like,
marks
I could prove I don't drink vodka. I was drinking tequila that night. And, you know, and then there's a picture of you drinking vodka in the same place that, because we went out together. And I'll be like, see, he knew. He lent me those shoes. And then Judge Judy in this entire point just was like, Sir, that's a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. And then you actually make $5,000 so you can go buy as many fucking pairs of Louboutins as you want.
What's a couple months' rent?
Or rent. So that's your Judy Justice. So I don't know. Here's the thing. It's on Amazon now, on Prime. Because I guarantee like 97% of the audience on Judge Judy has a Prime membership. So it worked out. It's just not on network TV anymore. And they filmed 120 episodes the first season. And it got renewed for a second season. So apparently it's doing pretty well.
Well, everyone loves Judge Judy.
She's the most watched, most well-paid person on cable TV. Now, without her, I think that now all those episodes are in syndication, so people are rewatching. I mean, there is years, like if you put them end to end, of Judge Judy episodes.
Yeah.
And they film them. It's really interesting. So apparently, the way that she films is she picks the weeks. So she'll spend 2 weeks a month in. She has a home in New York. She has a home in out in Rhode Island. She has 4 or 5 homes. One in Florida. So she picks whichever weeks she wants to film. She'll fly to LA and stay at her penthouse at the Montage in Beverly Hills, which is beautiful. Go to the studio. Film. Monday will be 5-6 episodes. Tuesday will be 5-6 episodes. So basically bang out a month's worth of episodes in a week. You know, they just rifle through the cases as quickly as possible. Because each person in the courtroom, I think, needs a good hour. Once everyone's mic'd up, goes in, does it, all that. So let's say they film from 10 to 6. Gets a car back to her place in the Montage, does that for a week, and then on Friday flies out in her private jet back home. She's off for another 2 weeks, and then comes back for a week, and then she's off for another 2 weeks. And that was worth a $100 million contract over the course of 5 years.
Well, it is a lot of work.
Yeah. And she was one of the first people to negotiate and be like, look, I know how much you people make from the advertisers, and I know how much you make off of my show. And so here's what she would do. She would, when it was time to renew her contract, she would write down how much she wanted, put it in an envelope, seal it, and then invite the head of the network out to dinner at Grill on the Alley in Beverly Hills. She'd hand him the envelope at the beginning of dinner, say, open it tomorrow morning. We're going to have a nice dinner. They would just talk about normal things, go home. The next day he'd open it, and every single time they approved of it. So every time she got what she asked for. And all the other judge shows on TV, in one way or another, she was involved with. She was a producer on Hot Bench, Hot Court, or something like that. So she would get a cut of all of those. Now, for a woman who was just a New York family court judge, probably making whatever the basic amount that somebody in the New York court system could make, that's pretty fucking savvy. No agents, no nothing.
The housewives need to take a page out of her book.
Well, at least for Gretchen Christine Couture or something like that, or Alexis. What was it?
Alexis Couture, Gretchen Christine Butte.
Butte, but then it was Butte. Honestly, though, I have to say this though, Gretchen was ahead of her time with that, with being like, the thing I need to do is the skincare thing, because if Gretchen was a housewife now, in the early 2020s, and she came out with like a makeup thing, like a makeup kit or something, that would have taken off. It flopped because it came out in like 2008, and everyone was broke, and she didn't have the resources to really do it right. And then she transitioned from the beauty thing to like purses and stuff, but that's like 90s stuff. Like, you wouldn't buy a Gretchen Christine purse. Like, people with money are going to buy a real designer purse, and they looked like crap anyway. So it was like, it was not
Crooked stitching and all that crap.
right. It looked like someone made it down off of
Because they probably did.
down off of Flower and First by the the market in downtown. Like, that's what it looked like. So, would you carry a Gretchen Christine purse?
No.
Okay, so there you
If
go.
I carry a purse at all, it will be a Birkin.
With a gun in it, I know.
And a flask.
Just don't reach for the wrong one.
So, I do have one political thing
One salient point.
to bring up, a topic, because it was brought to my attention yesterday. And I don't want to talk... Okay, well, let me get the topic out first. So, there is a quote-unquote bipartisan bill being discussed, trying to codify the Obergefell decision before the Supreme Court has a chance to overturn it.
Okay.
Or, in case the Supreme Court overturns it in the future, it's now still codified in law.
So they're trying to do with the gay marriage decision what they should have done with abortion years ago.
Right.
Is make
so
it a
you're-
law. So
yes, you're getting exactly to my point, which is I don't want to talk about the actual legislation because I haven't read the bill yet, and I plan on doing so and writing about it.
Okay.
But I can't speak to that as of yet. But it's as if Congress is finally realizing, oh, we actually have to do our jobs.
Yeah.
Because for too long, for what, 30, 40 years, Congress did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They passed no legislation of value, really, and relied on court cases and the Supreme Court to basically make law for them.
Right.
And this new conservative court, time and time and time again, because there have been several other cases that have come up, like the EPA stuff that came up this term.
Right.
Every time they have said, that's not within our purview. That's Congress's job. They would, turn it back over and say they have to do something about it.
Right.
This is not something for us to do. So they're basically, this new Supreme Court has now at least 3 or 4 times told Congress indirectly, do your fucking job.
Right.
Because they won't do it. They will not pass legislation of merit because they know that it's going to hurt them in the long run of getting reelected. And
Right.
all that Congress people have done over the past 40 years is spend money to get reelected. They have not passed it, they have not actually worked for us. And that's what people need to realize.
Right, because and I know the reason why. Like, people are like, oh, they're lazy, and yes, that's true. But the reason why they never had a federal abortion vote or anything like that had nothing to do with, oh, it was just something we overlooked, or oh, it's something we should have done. No. They knew either A, it wouldn't pass, B, if it passed, it wouldn't be meaningful, and C, that would be nailed to each of their electoral futures. Because abortion is not popular enough to win any kind of federal mandate. It's not. It hasn't been, and it never will be. The American people, by and large, when given questions and through polling for the course of 50 years, they are pro-life and support a women's right to choose. But when it comes down to it, they will always lean in a direction of being more pro-life then more pro-abortion. So no one wants to be the congressman that ran on abortions up until the point of birth. No one in any district in the United States would have won based off of that, even the most liberal. So the whole reason they realize that is like, ooh, I'm going to just sort of like release a very milquetoast statement about, oh yeah, I'm pro-life. Oh yeah, I support a woman's right to choose. But that's it. It's because I support women, blah, 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 and then move it along. No one wants any kind of abortion mentioned in their campaigning, especially if they're pro-choice. So it never would have worked, and it was always easy to kick it back on, well, they did Roe versus Wade, so that's the case. Well, now it's gone. So
I think in the long run this will have implications on Congress people's job security, as it should, because
and
how many years have we said and have we seen polls come out and say, Congress's approval rating and confidence, people's confidence in Congress is the lowest it's ever been, and it just keeps getting lower over the last 30
Once
years.
it's at 9%, I don't think that it can go much lower.
And that's all because we know that they don't actually do anything. They don't actually do anything.
And that's the unfortunate sort of paradox. I know that your friend, David French, talked about that by and large people support their congressman, by and large people distrust Congress at large. So there's almost this paradox of like, yes, they'll hold Congress at 9% approval, but they'll hold their own congressman at like 70 to 80% incumbent approval.
Which doesn't make sense, honestly.
Well, but think about it. The person that I elected to be there does stuff that I want or gets stuff for me. But the body itself is not doing anything to benefit.
They tell them.
Well, yeah,
they tell you that they're
bridge.
doing something.
Right.
They're not actually doing something, because you can look at the big picture and say, oh, well, you've actually not done anything for 30 years. I'm going to vote you out. Like,
it would be interesting if we decided to do a constitutional amendment on congressional term limits. But it would have to do the way that we go around Congress. Like, you have to do like state legislature or something like that to get it passed. One of the four methods.
Right.
Because term limits would solve most of these problems, because, yes, you could rule on a very controversial bill and take a position you're not worried about getting reelected on if that's your last term. But people they were not designed to be in Congress for 20-plus terms. That was not the idea, ever.
No, because the original position was, I guess I don't know the history well enough. It wasn't like a paid position. It was like you're doing service for your country.
Yeah.
You're doing service for your state, for your area.
Yeah, it was like doing jury duty.
You're coming to do this, and then you're going back to live your life and do your profession that you whether you were farmer, doctor, lawyer, whatever.
For being as forward-thinking as they were, I don't think that they anticipated that people would be in these positions forever. Where you get elected to Congress at like 29, like Biden was, and then you're still in Congress in 40 years later.
And voting to give yourself a pay increase.
Some idiot, and this is an idiot, it's a very, the worst people are people in the legal field who think that by being in the legal field they're smarter than everybody. Like a David French, or like this person, said, actually, I think that Congress is underpaid. Because look at how expensive it is to live in D.C. So they should be able to make more so they can buy housing there or whatever. Some stupid fucking statement like that. And this is someone who considers themselves conservative. So they basically... I don't know what the argument is. Maybe a congressman should be making $1 million a year because you'll get better people in there. Some argument like that. As if earning hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars per year is not enough of an incentive.
We shouldn't let them buy houses in D.C. We should tell them, you're only here, you're only supposed to be here for X amount of years, and then you got to get out anyway. So
what if we had government housing for members of Congress? You have a 2-term limit, and we'll buy really nice townhomes they can all live in, and move it along. So they're not sitting there in their their beautiful Georgetown mansion. They're just there forever.
That should be a huge clue to someone. If you buy a huge mansion in DC, you plan on only worrying about getting reelected every term, so you can keep that house and keep that job.
And the only reason you would stop being reelected is it's like, well, I can make more without being in Congress. So they decide to jump ship and then just join, like, Booz Allen Hamilton or some other lobbying firm, or McKinsey. And it's like, look who we brought on as a strategist. As if some fat fuck in a wrinkled suit could do strategy for anything. Like Jerry Nadler, or just someone just sitting there just like a lump on a log. Like, as if their insights are worthy.
Speaking of him, he's one of apparently the main co-sponsors of this bill that I'm referring to, which, so the two articles that I read about it, called it bipartisan, but that's only because like two Republicans joined it, and it was like, what's the bitch's name from Maine? Collins.
She doesn't count.
Huh?
Susan Collins.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Who's not really, who's a Republican by name only.
Got another looker. Ugh. What was it? Murkowski, the other one?
Probably.
So,
again, I want to read the actual. I'm hoping the bill is not that long. I want to actually read the legislation and see what it actually says and what it actually is codifying into law before I say anything about.
Even though opinions may have shifted slightly, gay marriage is not a winning issue, which is why we had to get to the point where it reached the Supreme Court level. It was another situation where, by and large, the American people voted, we really don't want gay marriage, but by and large, the American people voted, civil unions are fine, which would have been fine for everybody, because it would have been legally blind, exactly the same, the application is the same, as it was in California, where the only difference is you're just checking like a gender-specific box, which there's no gender anymore, so that probably would have a problem now. But there was like a male and male, female and female. Like, that was the only difference. Other than that, for tax purposes, for legal purposes, for all other protections and everything like that, it's the same. And yet, it still somehow became a problem because a few small activists, in the same way when it came to abortion, were like, no, we want more. To the point where they created a new and unequal balance when it comes to something like this. And now we're having to decide these questions almost 20 years after Hawaii voted to constitutionally allow gay marriage.
Which, by the way, and now I'm going to blank on her
30
name.
years, actually, because it was in the mid-90s.
I'm going to blank on her name. Damn it.
Who?
Back in the 70s, one of the one of the feminists who was pushing to
Steinem?
who was pushing to get abortion. So it was Bella Abzug, and it was
God.
Some other woman that I cannot remember her name.
What, Gertrude Stein?
No, Betty Friedan.
Oh.
No. So did you watch the Mrs. America?
I heard it was very good. I didn't see it.
So it was very good. Because it was very well done. It was very fair, because it did not portray Phyllis Schlafly as some crazed lunatic, ultra right wing, person.
Yeah.
It portrayed her as a real person, someone who was actually, who actually cared about something.
Right.
But the history of it that I didn't know, that I learned by watching that, and I since have read a little bit more about it, Betty Friedan was one of the people who pushed for the Roe versus Wade decision, right? She pushed for abortion rights.
Right.
And she actually kind of took a step back and walked away from the movement after people like Gloria Steinem said, oh no, I want more.
Yeah.
So Betty Friedan was like, I'm fine with this. We got what we wanted. And Gloria Steinem basically looked at her and said, no. We now took our foot. Now we need to take a mile. And we need to push and push and push and push until we get all this radical stuff. And that's when Betty Friedan said, I'm out. I don't want that.
blame her.
I'm out.
Gloria Steinem has made more money off of women's grievances, than anybody.
So that was my one complaint about the Mrs. America, because Rose Byrne played Gloria Steinem, and they portrayed her to be this angelic force behind the women's rights movement. Everyone at the time and now hates Gloria Steinem.
No, it's
She's
true.
a cunt.
She really is.
And so, like, Rose Byrne did not portray her accurately, I don't think. That was my only complaint about the whole
Rose
show.
Byrne is portraying her, so it's like,
I know.
that's what they think of her. And because the reason why they did that in the show is because, unlike Schlafly, who passed, unlike these other people who are long gone, she's still around, and they're afraid of getting on the wrong side of her. So, of course, they're going to make her look as flattering as possible.
Yeah. But the other people, like Betty Friedan and Bella Abzug, who was
Lunatic.
crazy and ugly,
Worst combo ever.
they portrayed them as real people, and I think probably as history should portray them, as people who had values and morals and wanted a certain thing, and as soon as they got that, they went, okay, we're good now. And someone like Gloria Steinem, who's like, no, I'm going to keep pushing.
And she built a brand around that. Because you don't look back and look at Gloria Steinem. Unfortunately now, in the historic literature, you don't look back and look at, like, oh, that crazy radical Gloria Steinem. That's the only name that anybody remembers. Betty Friedan is only if you studied it in school.
Right.
Bella Abzug as well. Everyone knows Gloria Steinem. She's at every single conference, every single thing, gives every single speech. She's like that, who's the one with the limp hair, that critical race theory woman.
Oh,
I can picture her too. It's really upsetting.
Oh, God. Why are names escaping me
I don't
today?
know. We had
who
3
you're
cups
talking
of
about.
coffee and we still can't figure this out. What's her
Robin
name?
DiAngelo.
Beverly D'Angelo. Yes. I wish that Beverly D'Angelo was doing that instead, because at least you'd have, someone of substance. She's the Robin DiAngelo of this whole thing, which I think is really funny, that this whole thing about, white people being guilty and people of color honoring their, achievements and everything like this, and putting them in a certain place and everything like this. The person leading the charge is just another limp, dried up white woman. I love that more than anything. And that's going to chafe some of those activists. Because at the end of the day, it's a dried up white woman leading the charge, just like Gloria Steinem.
As much as I'm sure the producers and the creators, the makers of Mrs. America did not want this to happen, it made me love Phyllis Schlafly even more.
That's true. Well, apparently,
I was just like, she was a little bit colorful in some of the things that she said, and she was a little bit of an alarmist probably,
Yeah.
but she had morals, she had values that she wanted to stick by, and I thought she was an icon. I loved her, and the fact that they got Kate Blanchett to play her was just a perfect choice.
It was on FX, right?
No, it was on Hulu. Only Hulu.
Ms. America was on Hulu?
Yeah.
Oh, FX on Hulu. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Because
but it never actually was on television. It was only
right.
on...
Okay, because FX also produced American Crime Story Impeachment, and they portrayed Ann Coulter very well, and not as this, horrible demon villain. Like, it was a little bit more of a human portrayal. Like, she actually watched it. She's like, look, the only thing they've gotten really inaccurate so far is if I drank that much white wine, I wouldn't have gotten anything done. But she's like, other than that, some of these things are pretty accurate. And they got Kobe Smulders to portray her, and apparently it was a very accurate portrayal. So, there is something to be said for... I think that they realize they can't just have these cartoonish one-dimensional of like, oh, these women were evil and they hated women. You can't do that. You can only do that for so long, and then people start to tune out. Especially because, by and large, the audience for this stuff is mostly liberal. But I don't know. I heard that the Schlafly portrayal was very good, so I have to give him credit for that.
I think you would really enjoy it. But the thing about that show was she won. Phyllis Schlafly won because the ERA was never ratified.
Still not.
And it won't ever be. Because apparently, and I learned this from listening to David French. I'm sorry, but at least he's good for something because he's in that world. There are currently some states who are actually speaking out saying we'd like to retract our ratification.
Really?
Yeah. So they're trying to retroactively say we take this back. I think like Nevada is one of those states that passed it in the 70s and now is going, let's roll this back here.
Well, because by design, it would have upset everything in a bad way.
Right, which is what Phyllis Schlafly was saying, but she was using overblown rhetoric like, they're going to send your daughters to war, or, they have to register for the draft.
Well, that probably would have been a logical extension.
Right, but there were certain things that she took to an extreme to get people to join her side. So she knew what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew that she was being a little bit hyperbolic, but she knew she had to. Like any good politician, she knew she had to, even though she wasn't a politician. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyone working in politics, she knew she had to get the support she wanted.
And she continued all the way to the end. She became, she endorsed Trump. Did a campaign rally for him at the beginning. So, no, there is something to be said for that, because imagine if the ERA had passed and you're basically erasing every gender distinction. That would have been a nightmare. Even legislatively.
I can imagine today, if the ERA had passed, there would be, well, what would these radical gender theorists say about the ERA? Would they call that transphobic? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if we would even be having that discussion. It would have been something far stranger, if you think about it. Mm. Because that whole thing was like, get rid of the binary. Well, the binary would have already been erased.
That's a strange pipe dream I'd rather not have. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Good morning and go fuck yourselves. Or good morning and fuck you all.